Hi everyone, and welcome to week 2 of the semester. Um, I have had the worst bout of the flu over the past week, so I've been trying to stay on top of people's emails, questions, and concerns, trying to get back to folks as soon as possible. I think I did a good job with that. If there's an email that I missed or a question that I missed, please just send me an email again, because I wouldn't be surprised if some things fell through the cracks over the past week. Hopefully my voice isn't too congested, and you folks can hear me, and really I hope none of you end up getting this flu, because it's really been a horrible week. So this week we're going to be talking about finding happiness in relationships in a complex world. So we're moving on to talk about chapter 1 this week. So I want to go through assignments with folks. Before I do that, I had a question. Someone had asked in the community help forum about accessing the text through Revel. So I just wanted to show folks again how to log on and see the text. Let me sign in here to our Pearson course. Ugh. All right, here we go. I'm going to enter our Intimate Relationships course, and you'll come to this main screen. Where you're going to go is to this menu here that's in the upper right hand corner. You see these small icons. The first one is for assignments. You don't have to worry about that because I'm not assigning anything through Revel. We're just using it for the text. Performance, this little graph, again, you don't have to worry about that. That would be if we were completing assignments through Revel. If you do any highlights or if you've written any notes in the text, this tab here will take you to those. But this is where I think everyone is going to be concerned, is coming to the table of contents. So it is the fourth selection down, the little book. If you click on table of contents, it'll take you to the table of contents for the text. You have each chapter here. Chapter 1, Seeking, Chapter 2, Understanding, and you can just click into whichever chapter it is that you're looking for, and it'll bring you right to the text. If you have questions about that, feel free to send me an email. Let me go back to our class page and talk about assignments for this week. So for this week, talking about seeking, our discussion forum. Do we need relationships in order to be happy? Which is really one of the main focuses around this course. We're looking at relationships in our modern world, in the context of the world that we live in. But relationships are something that tend to give people a lot of happiness and satisfaction. Despite all the feelings that we have about marriages and relationships, most Americans want to be married, and in the past would marry at some point in their lives. So my question for the forum for this week is, what difference does marriage make? Talk to me about the pros and cons of marriage. And we're talking about the institution of marriage here, which in modern times, folks are starting to look at in different kinds of ways. Some folks are choosing to be in committed relationships without the benefit of legal marriage. So talk to me about, some of our changing ideas around marriage, and is marriage still important? And secondly, for you personally, would it take intimacy with another person to make you feel happy, regardless of whether that's in the context of a legal marriage? Would that intimacy with another person help you to feel complete? Please make sure that you post your initial response to the forum by midnight on Thursday, and then reply to 2 classmates by the following Monday. So that is our discussion forum assignment. We also have a Google Slide project, the Happiness Google presentation. I will be sending everyone a link for this, and you can also access it through our class page. So here we are in our Google Happiness slides. Happiness is an important and elusive topic. What will bring happiness to one person may bring misery to another, but we all look for happiness in our relationships or through our relationships with others. And amongst the most important relationships in our lives are those people that we have those intimate, close relationships with. So for this slideshow, I'm asking folks, what makes or would make you feel happy? I'm asking each student to add a blank slide or more if needed to the Google presentation, and share with the class 3 things that make you happy. You can use photos, videos, whatever media you may like. Make sure you put your name on each slide that you create, and please be careful. The whole class is sharing this Google Slide project. We're all editing the same project, so make sure that you are only editing your own work and don't delete anyone else's work. I have a short video here, The Science of Happiness, if folks are interested in watching that. The text also talks about the Oxford Happiness Questionnaire, and I have included the link here if anyone wants to log on and take the Oxford Happiness Questionnaire. I've created my own slide talking about things that make me happy. Obviously, I am working on my technological skills this semester because I'm looking at this picture I have up of my family and seeing that somehow it looks like I've got 2 photos mashed together here. But my family was one of the first things that I thought about when I thought about things that make me feel happy. And you'll hear me talk about these folks throughout the semester. This is my husband, my 2 teenage daughters, and our dog Katniss. Other things that make me happy, I love comedians. I love things that make me laugh, things that are funny. My husband told me one time that he figured out what my type was, and he said to me, he said, "Your type is a fool." And I looked at him and he goes, "You like somebody who makes you laugh." And he's absolutely right. So Jimmy Fallon, I always say to my classes, Jimmy Fallon's my boyfriend. I adore Jimmy Fallon, and I think he's so funny. So I've included here a clip of one of his hashtags, my weird teacher, which seemed appropriate to the moment. I'm an avid reader and I love to read. I often talk in my classes about books that I've been reading and try to share that information with folks. So I have here a few selections that I've read recently. Orphan Train, The Hate U Give, which was a fantastic book. I highly recommend The Hate U Give. And interestingly, I have Aziz Ansari here in his book, Modern Romance. I bought this book not that long ago, maybe a month ago. I was with a good friend of mine who I've known since high school. She's a single parent and has been divorced for the past 10 years. And she's been thinking about starting to date again. And the 2 of us have been spending a lot of time talking about how much dating has changed since we were in high school and college. And the challenges of being a single parent, entering kind of the dating pool and all those things. So I had seen, and Aziz Ansari is one of my favorite comedians as well. I love his show Master of None on Netflix. I talk a lot about his show Master of None in my intro to sociology class when we talk about positive representation of underrepresented groups. I absolutely adored him in Parks and Recreation. So I had seen this book on sale and I actually picked it up for my friend kind of as a joke since we've been talking about all these issues around modern dating. And my intent was, I thought it would be also a good thing for me to read in conjunction with this class. Since I have added my friend Aziz here to the Google Slide presentation, as many of you know, or as many of you likely know, he's been caught up in a scandal around sexual harassment, around ideas around consent, the Me Too movement. So I have some mixed feelings about him being here on my happiness page. But we will talk more about Aziz Ansari later in the semester when we talk about sexuality specifically. We're going to be talking about ideas around consent. And I think the Me Too movement, I think what Aziz Ansari is going through brings to light some issues that we are again going through in terms of our modern relationships and how we talk about consent and how we deal with consent within our relationships. So please make sure you add 3 things to the Google Slide presentation about happiness for you personally, and this is due by next Monday. Then we have the Chapter 1 test. You have 35 minutes to complete 20 questions. The questions are all multiple choice and true and false. This is due February 5th at 11:59 p.m. Please make sure you read Chapter 2 for next week on understanding and complete the Chapter 2 quiz before 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, February 4th. Finally, I'm sending everyone a link to the Google PowerPoint slides. I say PowerPoint slides. I changed them into a Google Slide format because I think that's more accessible for a lot of students. So you'll be getting a link for the Chapter 1 slides, and you can also access these through our class Moodle page using your HCC email and your HCC email password. Our learning objectives here are the things that we're going to be talking about for week 1, or Chapter 1, I'm sorry. And again, the idea about happiness being linked to our relationships. Interestingly, married people are happier than any other configuration of people, which is interesting given the ideas we have about marriage. Like sometimes when folks talk about marriages, we talk about it in a negative way. We talk about the ball and chain or the loss of our freedom. But the reality is that we get an enormous amount of happiness and satisfaction through our relationships. The happiest people are people that seem to spend the least amount of time alone. And I always put a caveat here because people are very different in terms of their social needs. We have people who like to be surrounded by folks all the time, are very happy and being, in these large social situations and being surrounded all the time by other folks. We have folks who are introverts, who are folks who maybe appreciate more time to themselves, but still like having especially one-on-one contact or having a smaller, much closer group of friends. Either way, there's no right or wrongs in terms of how you choose to interact with folks around you or the number of people you choose to surround yourself with. But having people in your life, having some relationships are very important. And we know there's negative consequences to not having those relationships. Loneliness is a major risk factor in increasing blood pressure amongst older folks. So there are physical consequences as well to not being in relationships. Surveys show that folks who say they are very happy include 40% of those who are married. Again, speaking about the importance of marriage. Key areas, happy couples have solid strengths that are built into their relationships. And these are also things that we're going to talk about through the semester. Communication, there's a whole section where we talk about communication and conflict resolution. We tend to have a conflict taboo in our society where we feel that conflict is bad. But the reality is conflict can be very good for many relationships, especially when conflict is handled in a positive kind of way. So we're going to talk about those conflict resolution skills, communication skills later in the semester, and other important areas to couples, sexual relationship, having leisure activities that you share together, the influence of family and friends and how well those groups fit in with your intimate relationships. The ability to manage finances is a huge thing that I think many couples don't pay a whole lot of attention to. An agreement on spiritual beliefs can also be an important area. Not that we need to have 100% compatibility in all of those areas, but those can be important areas for our relationships. And finally, one of the things that we're also going to talk about through this semester is the way our families look is changing. In the past, the nuclear family was seen somewhat as the gold standard, having mom, dad, and kids in one household. But the reality is today's families, the nuclear family is becoming more of the rarity. We see many, many different kinds of households today, and there is no one standard way for a family to look. We have binuclear families, where family members may live in different households, such as when mom and dad both divorce and kids may travel back and forth between both households. We have blended households where maybe one divorced parent remarries and the step-parent has children and they're blending these families together under one roof. And certainly we're seeing an increased number of single-parent families as well. Affiliated kin are something that I think is also important in today's world. Affiliated kin are folks that are not related to us, but we treat them as if they are our family. And I have a strong network of friends that we really consider ourselves to be family, and we depend on each other and rely on each other. And that's a really important thing, I think, with all the pressures in today's modern world. So please read Chapter 1, enjoy, email me if you have any questions or concerns, and I'm looking forward to our discussions for this week. Thank you.